count on Google, critical. You've got to keep adding reviews. If the people that stopped adding reviews, it's been interesting to watch the drop that I've seen where Google's taking reviews away. Because in their mind, I've talked to some high-level folks on this that know Google at a high level. They've even said if Google doesn't see that reviews are being added on, they assume the business is slowing down and they're taking reviews away. That's powerful.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Reside Platform Podcast. I'm your host today, Suneet Agrawal, and I feel like I have a real treat as a guest. We have Mr. Matt Wagner himself. Matt, what's going on, dude? How are you?
Hey, what's up, Suneet? Good to hear you. Good to see you, man.
Yes. So the top teams in real estate definitely know who you are, but how about for the new people who may have never heard the name Matt Wagner? Can you just explain really quick? And by the way, let me say everything to the audience. This is not going to be a pitch on this entire podcast of Matt talking about his product. I just want you guys to hear about what Matt does so you get context around the rest of the conversation. Fair enough? So, Matt, go ahead, please.
So I was born and raised Chicago, Illinois, and I've been in all 50 states visiting, and I've lived in 6 different states. So I've been around. Currently, I'm living in New York City, not New York City, but about 2 hours north of New York, away from all the hustle and bustle. But what in a real small nutshell, basically, I was always around radio and TV. I happened to meet a guy named Jay Kinder 20 years ago. Many know Jay, and basically taught him how to do radio and TV the right way. That's different. It doesn't sound like commercials, and it's proven to be a true source for not only good branding to make conversion improve and also commissions improve. We could talk about a little deeper later, but also it's been a great source for listings. An opportunity to really get what they call, easily converted listings. So that whether they call you right away ready to list or they know you by the time they list with you, that's probably the number one thing. And because of that, it's also attracted agents too as an indirect recruiting tool to help grow agent count. Because obviously, as we know and you guys know, very important to grow agent and build a team.
Okay, that is great. I love that. And also, I am a client. I've been a client for about 3 months.
Yes.
Dude, did I tell you I got a recording of a call where somebody said, "Hey, I just heard Sonny's name on the radio. Can you guys sell my house?" It was last month. It was the second month in. So good job.
No, you didn't tell me that. That's cool.
Yeah. Maybe I was holding on to it for. Man, I met you through Nick McLean, co-host of the podcast, co-founder of Reside, and your client list of the who's who. And I was glad a space opened up because you're exclusive to markets, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of times it's the opportunity too of what's available. There's not a lot, especially with a lot of these iBuyers and a lot of other agents that have figured out what we do. There's only so much you can do, but what we've learned over the years is to figure out where are the holes, where are the opportunities, and we snag them. And we also can create opportunities too.
Yeah, it's super cool. Advertising on the radio for like a rock and roll guy like me on a rock station. Like I go there and I have fun, man. So
I love it.
I have a new friend who's the DJ and the marketing gal at their office. They're super cool. So
and I gotta admit, I never pegged you as a rocker until I got to know you. Like, this guy's awesome, man. That's cool.
Yeah, maybe a little dorky, but anyhow, so part of your business is talking to the top agents in every market, and helping them with their listing acquisition using like traditional media, right? But also you talk to them about everything. Like you and I had an in-depth conversation about Google. So right now, no doubt the U.S. is at the tail end of an election. In fact, this one may come out and we may have a new president. I don't know. Today's the 31st of October, Halloween. So we're at the tail end of an election. And I'm hearing a lot of realtors expressing some challenges with the market. What kind of and we both know that the amount of homes sold is even less than last year at date, right? So people are experiencing challenges. In your conversations with top teams, what kind of conversations are you having?
That's a really interesting question. I think, for one, yes, this market has definitely separated the warriors from warriors. And if you're a warrior, they see it as an opportunity that they can capitalize on the market and the opportunity that's there. If people had good systems in place and good follow-up systems in place, they're optimistic, they're positive, and they're taking on this market.
Yes.
If they're not, they're backing out, they're making excuses, or I've even seen some people completely leave the industry that would have never guessed. But it's a product. It's an interesting time. You can either step up or step out.
Yes, dude, step up or step out. So how are people stepping up?
So I think by stepping up, what's been really interesting, and we were just talking about this before we jumped on this call, that with the NAR settlement, I was ready to hear like, "Woe is me! Oh, this is tough." It's funny. Right. I won't name names, but our top agents have a consistent theme was that we love this new market because now we're getting our best commissions we've ever gotten. Because if they're the listing leader in the market, they can now show buyers, hey, we're getting plenty of homes before they hit the market. We're the listing leader. So we're getting more opportunities that most people will never hear about because they sell before they hit the market.
Yes.
And when they can articulate that, they're getting 3%, or I shouldn't say specific, should I? They're getting top
no.
fees. They're getting very even better fees than they were getting before because they can articulate value better. But I think what that speaks to is they've got a good follow-up system. They've got good scripts and dialogue. They've got a good database. They work their database. They stay consistent. They grind. Basically, they do the things that I know you guys really speak about highly at Reside and that Shep teaches. And I'm a fan of it. So I'm honored to be invited on this call because we're preaching the same music.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to sell. There's still transactions, albeit less, but they know how to sell. And I just did an episode. It came out 8 days ago with Steve Hawks. I don't know if you know Steve or not. He's out of Las Vegas. He knows. In Las Vegas, the top agents are experiencing. They're able to sell and provide value and go the extra mile, and the commissions are on the increase because they're working for their money, right? Which, like you said, that's the separator. And I love that too. They're warriors, not warriors. It's kind of hard to say warrior, not warrior, but good. What changes are you seeing the top teams do in their traditional media for advertising?
A couple things. I would say the top three things that we'll look at when anybody says, man, radio, TV, not feeling it right now or having some problems. First thing I look at, how many reviews do they have on Google? Count on Google, critical. You've got to keep adding reviews. If the people that stopped adding reviews, it's been interesting to watch the drop that I've seen where Google's taking reviews away, because in their mind, I've talked to some high level folks on this that know Google at a high level. They've even said if Google doesn't see that reviews are being added on, they assume the business is slowing down and they're taking reviews away. That's powerful.
Okay.
So the lesson I took from that. It doesn't have to be, don't do contests because Google watches that, but make it a point to make it a goal for your agents to add at least 1 or 2 a day that's sustainable. In other words,
Sure.
don't try to drop 30 in a week. Google's not dumb. They're watching and they'll take them away as fast as
Absolutely.
you put them up, right? But if you do 1 or 2 a day, if you figure what's 1 a day, that's 30 more a month. 2 a day is 60 a month. Over 3 months, that's now another 200 reviews. That's
Absolutely, dude. It's so easy.
right. That's doable. That's number
so
one.
easy.
Number two
Right.
is they're also paying close attention to their website activity. The top leaders right now know what's happening on their website. You know what that's like? It's almost like if you had a camera in your store, but you weren't selling product, and you had 300-400 people come in through your store, and no one bought anything. Is that the advertising's fault? No, you're not stocking your shelves right. You're not watching the activity, what's going on in your store, right? And so that's the other thing that they're watching very, very carefully, what's happening on their website. The other thing they want to see is you've got to have some form, and I'm a huge fan of Fellow. You probably are too. Maybe
Yes.
maybe you've got a system that works like Fellow that can get response and get people to respond right away. Whatever it is, something on your website to get people to raise their hand and take action. And also, the other thing I've watched, Fellow has woken people up to this. 10 years ago, people would put a phone number out on the air, vanity phone number. People would write down the phone number and they would call. I would challenge anybody listening, if you still think vanity numbers are relevant, tell me what your mother's phone number is right now without looking.
I know mine still.
But how many that haven't moved can say that? We don't look at that anymore. Or what's your best friend's number? If I ask you what's Jeff's
no
number
idea.
right now, can you tell me?
No idea.
You
It has a
know,
702 in it somewhere. Yeah.
yeah. We click. It's on our phones, right? And if we need to know how to get to Outback Steakhouse, you Google it, right? We're in a Google world, and we've got to embrace that. So those are
You're
the
right.
things I
You're
would say.
right.
And then the other system, the last one, is follow up. It was interesting. When I asked Nick this a year ago, I said, Nick, what's the number one problem that you see agents having when they come over to reside? Because you guys attract great people, right? Many of our clients.
Yep.
I said, what's the number one problem that you see immediately that's holding them back to making more money? I couldn't finish the sentence. And he said, they don't use follow-up costs correctly. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's true. And I think for me, I have standards that work for me. So my suggestion to anyone listening about wanting to improve follow-up is you have to set a standard first, and then you hold people to that standard. As a matter of fact, my standards are available all over the internet. You could probably get them, and I'll ask the team to put the link in the show notes too if you want to download standards. But yeah, follow-up is a huge problem. Using the CRM correctly is a huge problem. And then also leaders not looking out the expectations is maybe just as big of a problem, right? So it's not all dependent on any party. You have to have something, you have to hold people to it, and you have to have something, people need to try and follow it and need to hold them accountable to it.
Absolutely.
Right? Super simple. So I love the Google conversations, because last time we had the Google conversation, you kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, and I really liked it. So selfishly, and I know you're not the Google guy, but your advertising, a lot of the intent now is to drive people to look up the website or look up whatever, right? I mean, isn't that because people don't look at phone numbers anymore? You want to get them to a website. Am I right?
Absolutely. Well, because here's the reality.
Okay.
Think of another industry. Let's pretend that what's the city you've never been to? Because you've been all over the country.
A city I've never been to, St. Louis.
Okay. We're going to meet up in St. Louis and we want to go to I want to take you, or no, better yet, you're taking your wife and kids. You want to take them to the best steakhouse in St. Louis. What are you going to do? Are you going to pick up the
So
yellow
me,
pages?
myself, I would go to Open Table. However, many
Okay.
people just go to Google.
Right. You can go to Open Table, Yelp, right? I'm a Yelper, right? So I'm going to go to Yelp and I'm going to look up or Open Table because why? I'm going to read the reviews. I'm going to see how many people review it. I'm going to see pictures. I'm going to get all that info before I ever make a decision. And so
Yeah, sure.
we've been conditioned to do that, right? In other things. Google's only hit real estate in the last 5 years, right? But now every year that goes by, it's more and more pronounced and it's more important. So what happens is now, even if radio is successful, it used to drive phone calls. Today it's driving Google search. So think of yourself, the consumer journey. When I want to look up, and we had this discussion in deep because we had to discuss if we're going to push your website or your name, what are we going to do, right? So making sure that is clear. And now what your call to action is, making sure that when they go there, it's easy to find you. And when they get there, now what are they doing? They can read your reviews. They can check you out, right? And so now if there's only this happened one time, and I'll never forget it. I had a client that kept saying, "Oh, radio TV not working, not working." Well, when I went to his website, when I Google searched him, no exaggeration, had 15 reviews, 3.8 stars.
Mm.
And I said, "Bro, if you were a restaurant, would you eat there?" No.
Yeah, hell no.
You think it just opened, right? That's what the consumer is seeing. And the other thing that I think people miss a lot, when you do look at your Google profile, what pictures are up there? If
Right.
I want to read more about, your team and you, do I want to see a bunch of houses? No.
No, hell no.
I want to see you. I want to see your team. I want to see a happy team. I want to see happy clients shaking hands. That Google profile, that the photos there, that's like the photo album on the coffee table in your living room or in your office that I'm looking
Dude,
at.
good analogy, bro. Good analogy.
It's before I ever see it. Now I'm getting a vision of what I can expect. That's the second thing. I read the reviews, I see the photos. Now I go to your website, and that website, is it consistent with what I've just heard, what the offer is? And so if I want to know my home is worth in less than 30 seconds, can I get that from your website? That's what I want to see. I don't want to look at houses. I don't want to look at what homes are for sale. I want to sell my home, right? Too many websites.
Yes.
And it's funny. I did this a couple of years ago at a mastermind, and Rob Dukansky, I love Rob. He said, "Matt, you should have looked around the room and saw the jaws drop, right? Or the heads sink." And what we did was I said, "Okay, guys, take your phones out. You've got permission. Pull your phone out. Look up Open Door. Look at the website.
Okay.
The offer's clear. Testimonials, easy. Click here, click here, click here. Find out what your home is worth. Get a cash offer, right? Right at the top. Now, have your neighbor, not you, have your neighbor Google search you. What do they see?
Okay.
Can they even find you? Can they find your Google
Many
profile?
people know.
Look at your website.
Many people know.
Right? He said, but you know what that did? It forced people to realize you got to make the consumer journey easier. And the people that implemented that,
less friction.
that's what those people are still around today.
Dude, that's so good. Yes. Because, now it's like we're using the traditional traffic to drive to the digital assets, aren't we? It's crazy.
It's true.
Because you've seen probably both ways. Because you've seen drive to phone numbers. And that obviously worked for so long. That's crazy.
Right. People wrote down stuff. People
Like
don't write
even
down
as
numbers anymore. They don't have to.
they don't have to. Yeah, because I was even thinking like, oh, I should put a catchy. It was one of my friends, and I remember, and I was all, bro, you don't have a phone number on your billboard. You just got a URL, and it doesn't even say like .com. It just has the words up there now too. So that's crazy.
It's people. Google has made people lazy, and you know what? It's easy. It's convenient, and people pick convenience over quality. But when you've
In
got both,
in
it's a great combination.
yes, yes. In your experience, um, like this is totally like just your opinion. What kind of brand awareness does a consumer need to like reach out to somebody? How like you think it can be? Is it more
That's a great
often right
question.
then? Like right then, I'm like, okay. I talk to my wife in the morning. We talk about selling the house. I drive to the place and I hear a radio ad for the first time. Or is it I've been hearing the radio ad for the last 8 months. Now I'm thinking about selling. In your experience, which one do you think happens more often?
Well, I think with a couple things to that. And the other thing that I think is also a trend of you've asked, what have I seen lately in the last year or two that's changed?
Yes.
People now more than ever, they've been inundated with the open doors, offer pads, national companies that are pounding radio, A, because they know it works. B,
Yes.
they're offering cash for your home, cash for your home, right? It's very confusing and there's a lot of disruption that way. So if you notice with you, even as a case in point, what was one of the things I made you promise me you would do? Go in and talk to the talent,
Follow.
right?
Oh yeah. Go in and talk
Why?
and make a relationship. Yeah,
Make the relationship.
because you want
People
it to
want to
sound
know
natural.
they want to know who they're dealing with. And the more they
100%.
hear, oh, this is a nice guy, man. This guy knows his stuff. I trust him. I like him. And he knows what he's talking about. Building trust doesn't happen overnight. But when you can piggyback the trust of a great personality with someone that they can like, know, and trust, now what will
Mm-hmm.
happen is rather than saying, oh, Suneet, I heard your ad on the radio. Now they'll hear, man, I heard Justin talking to you, right?
Yeah, dude,
Big difference.
that's yes,
And
yes.
the more you're
Um,
addressing one problem after another with a solution, what is that implanted in my brain? This guy's a problem solver. I want this guy on my side
yes,
when I'm ready.
yes,
And
good. So
so
that long-term brand awareness, I love it.
it's what it is. And you'll get people now a year from now, and I've even when some people have told me, oh, I only got 3 phone calls last month from radio. Well, you know what? And I guarantee of those people that talk to you, probably none of them said it was the first time they ever heard you.
Sure,
What do they say? I've been hearing you for years. I've been
I've been
waiting
hearing you for
for
years.
that's because let's face it, less than 1% are going to list this month, probably even less every 2 months, right? So
Yeah,
when they're ready, they want to know who can I trust, who's a go to.
dude, yeah. It's just the brand awareness, knowing them, having a relationship, and the radio as the context. They listen to that DJ every day. Like they think that the DJ is their friend, right? And
Okay,
and
I might be going on a limb and saying this. I didn't want to say this. I didn't want to post this anywhere, but I thought if you
okay,
wanted a good illustration about how powerful if is radio still relevant, right? I'll still get that question.
sure,
Are people still listening?
yes, of course.
So we're right
I
now. We
was
know what
I was
happens
going to
next.
ask you that.
We know what happens next week, right? The biggest voting day of the year, right?
Yeah,
Biggest job in America, right, is on the line.
yeah,
So what is it? What does this candidate do? And I'm not going to say whichever side. I'm not going to go.
sure,
I'm
yeah.
not going to go
Because
there, right? But
no, we're not going to go there.
purely a marketing perspective, right? He catches a popular radio host, Charlemagne the God, on the Breakfast Club, right? Shows on like 100 markets, guys like a legend in the R&B world, catches him saying, yeah, this one candidate, she supports transgender, rights in schools, and our tax-paying dollars is going to support that. Candidate takes that clip, puts it not only in his commercials, but puts $65 million behind the ad campaign to push that out nationally.
Yeah.
Why is he doing it? An influencer is making a statement about now what he edited out of this. Charlemagne went on to say, why are we talking about this? There's bigger issues we should be talking about, right?
Yeah, right.
But just the fact that he isolated something that gets to people's hearts, right? That can move them, that is important to people, right? But he's putting $65 million behind it. If radio wasn't relevant, why would he even do that?
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. It's shocking, right? The amount of people tell me that they listen to the radio.
Well, I think it is. And to be fair, yes.
And also at the same time, my wife, Matt, only listens to the radio.
Well, I think the reality is because I get some people, people listen to podcasts now, and that's true. But I think if you've got a relevant morning show, or you've got a relevant show, people listen to the radio for one of three reasons. They want to be entertained, they want to be informed, and they want to be comforted. Yes. And what's interesting, why did we choose the station that you're on that nobody else thought about in the market? During the pandemic, people wanted to be comforted. They wanted to hear something that they know, right? Classic rock brings you back in time to when it was a better time. You've got great memories. In fact, you'll appreciate this being a musician. So I saw a documentary about Paul McCartney, and his lead guitarist commented how he goes, I love every night I play, I can start strumming the first few chords of a Beatles tune. I look in the audience and I can see that guy going back in time, thinking of what he was doing at that moment. And so why classic rock stations boomed during the pandemic? People wanted to be comforted. They wanted to go back to a better time and place. Now, you couple that with a popular person who people want to be entertained by because Justin's a great personality. You combine those two elements and nobody thinks about it, right? But that's where the connection comes in. And that's one example. So when we ask, what do? We go into a market and we figure out where are the ears, where are the hearts, where are the people that are compelling. There's a difference between being interesting and compelling. Interesting, I might want to get some facts and figures. Compelling, that person is going to move me to do something. There are some coaches out there that are interesting. John is compelling. You hear Jeff and you're moved by it, right? That's the difference. That's why you come home with notes. Like, okay, these notes are nice, but when you got someone who's moving you, that's a big difference. And that's what we look for in personalities. So
that's fire. I love that. Now, I want to shift the questions because I'm super curious. I want to ask the audience out there, have you guys ever seen like the commercials of a realtor and Barbara Corcoran and said, Barbara Corcoran's with dude from my town? Because Matt Wagner, I'll tell you that about 7-8 years ago, I was like, Barbara Corcoran's with Tom Daves? Like, how the hell did that happen? And then every time I got in the car, I would hear all the ads, right? Shout out to Tom for being an absolute legend and inspiration for me in SAC. You guys are the guys that put Barbara Corcoran in the ads. Just out of sheer selfish curiosity, how did that collaboration even come about, dude? I'm curious.
I love telling this story because it came on the heels. It was 10 years ago, actually, this
Wow.
month, since we started the program. It's still going strong today. We love it. We keep innovating with it. But what happened was I was starting to watch Shark Tank is about 7 years. I think about 6 years in. And I love I started watching the show and I kept telling myself, man, I wish Barbara was still selling real estate because I'd go after her and I'd get her to be a client, right?
Yeah.
So I thought. So I was getting into the show, and then it was right around the time we were starting to do masterminds that we used to go and piggyback like Keller Williams events and Remax events where we'd like do like a little breakout group, like 20, 30, 40 people, before the
Totally.
conference starts. And so we finally started breaking out and we did our first, our own mastermind, and it was great. We had it in Vegas. We had like 150 people there. Well, now we're like,
Oh, cool.
okay, we got to do this again. We're going to do this in Dallas, right? I booked the hotel, I booked everything, and then I find out, not John wasn't around yet. Another coach who I worked really closely with did a mastermind that exact same week, and I'm like,
shit.
crap. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to lose half my audience, right? So that's when I said, okay, if I could either give up or I'm going to raise the bar and say, I'm going to bring someone to my mastermind that they're not going to hear anywhere else, right?
Oh,
I shoot an email out to Barbara. I took a chance. I emailed her because I also noticed on Barbara's website, it was ancient at the time. She had a brokers I trust section, right?
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I don't know any of these people. And I'm not going to be arrogant and say I know everybody big. But I looked at the production. These are all like no-name agents that bought in on this, right? So I emailed her and said, Barb, I've got the top agents in almost every market that I know would love it if you endorse them. Would you speak at our event? I'll pay the freight, and we would love to partner on that. And I'm like, she emailed me back. I'm like, what?
Wow, that's so cool, dude. That is a great story.
She said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for a new agency, but we can talk when I speak at your event. So I'm like, all right, deal. So at that point, I paid her $35,000 to speak at our event, which that's not chump change, right? And
7 years ago, right? You said
10 years ago, right? Now,
exactly. It was especially not chump change.
Now she commands $110,000.
Yeah, sounds right.
So now I know because I just helped someone else book it. But
I'm sure you know. Yeah,
and that was even before a mad discount, right? But but anyway, so she comes to our event, and we were at Glenn Beck's studio, and we were coming back because we had him speak to our group in the morning, and then we had her speak in the afternoon. So I got a race
speakers to have, dude.
Yeah, that was I stacked the deck on that one because I wanted to be the best and baddest mastermind in the planet, right? So that was when. So now we're getting back, and my event planner calls me. She's like, Barbara wants you in a room, 2 hours before she speaks or before our meet and greet. So she said, bring your wife. Because she's hitting on the bodyguard who's walking her up there, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
So anyway, I'm up there in her dressing room. Me and my wife are sitting there, and Barbara's telling she's like drilling me with questions while she's getting makeup put on. She's like looking in between like the makeup artist, like watching us, right? But she's asking me pointed questions about our network, how many agents we have, where they rank, all of them, right? So now we go down to the meet and greet, and I made sure that I lined up like 20 agents to meet her. They were all like number one, number two, all heavy hitters, right? Ask Gary Ashton next time you talk to him what that was like.
Okay, for sure. I just saw him a couple days ago.
It's a little X-rated, but I'll let him tell the story. I know you guys are buddies. But yeah, that was interesting. So, but anyway, when we were all said and done, she gave a presentation. As we were walking out, she just said, Matt, normally events I speak at, 70% belong there. 30%, like, I wonder why are they even here? She said, every single person in your audience was engaged, asked good questions, and they looked like they were top agents. They looked like people I would hire at the Corcoran Group. She goes,
Awesome.
here's my agent's number. Let's make something happen.
Wow.
So
Dude.
now here's the funny part of this. Also, funny part of the story. Actually, two parts I'll add. I'm driving now. About a week goes by. I'm going back and forth with her agent, and he's just not. He's a little old, not quite getting it right. I'm driving. I was in California. I'm driving to the San Diego Zoo that day with my wife and my in-laws in the back seat. All of a sudden, on the phone, Barbara Corcoran's calling me.
You're like, oh shit! I better answer this. Hang on, guys.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, excuse me. So like, I press. She had speakerphone. She doesn't even know it. I'm like, Barbara, please don't talk dirty, please. My in-laws are in the car, right? She was all business. She goes, Matt, I love my Jack, but he blew, and she dropped. I won't name names, but they were national providers. He blew this deal. He blew this deal. I don't want him to blow this deal. What do we need to do to make this happen? We talk it through. Done deal. Now I got to go find a producer, and this is the other part that people don't understand. When you work with a high level celebrity, it's one thing to get them to agree to do it. It's the other thing to say, okay, now you got to find a producer that meets their standard, right? You can't just call. You can't just film this on your iPhone, right? You can't just get an average production crew. Yeah. I called 3 producers that were on her short list. One of them flat out said no. The other one quoted me $500,000 for a day to produce.
Wow.
Right? Like, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Third one was Chris Strand, who was very creative, based in New York City, thought it through and said, okay, I can plan this like a wedding. Like, he planned a per person figure that was reasonable, lower than what they would normally spend on production. So now a normal day for him is $70,000. Our agents get it produced for roughly between $1,500 to $3,000.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's unheard of.
Totally.
So you're getting a great quality production. So that fell into place. But then you got to get the agent buy-in. And I give credit to my rate family because they stood up. They took a chance on all this. They committed to it. If they didn't say yes, this wouldn't have happened. Our team stepped up. We found the right people. We organized it. It all came together. And then Barb's a trooper. So this is also one last detail and we'll move on. But when we initially, what it was going to be was Barbara doing an intro, Barbara doing an outro, and locally we would film footage and marry it to the spots. We'd have been fine with that. Chris, the producer, he said, you know, Matt, it's actually easier if people fly in and film, with me, because then the sound quality would be consistent. When we film with Barb, when we film with the agent.
Sure, sounds a big deal, yeah.
I said, well, if we do that, if they're going to come all the way to New York, why don't we have Barbara involved with them? That, to me, made all the difference in us still doing this 10 years later.
Wow.
Because the authenticity of being with her, and we've had him driving in a car with her, we've had him on the phone with her, we've done walking, but there's no doubt they are with her talking. And from that, it adds an authenticity that's just unseen in TV commercials. You just don't see that. I mean, like, look, if you watch a State Farm commercial, right? You see like Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes does commercial. You don't see a local insurance agent on that commercial. You don't see the number one guy from Pittsburgh on there, right?
No.
You see the national rep. To see a local realtor with a national celeb in a TV spot, it just comes off like very first class. And how did he pull that off? And if he does that kind of marketing, that's credible. Right? I know Brandon Brittingham really well, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Love Brandon. So his first year with us, he actually bought a cutout of Barbara that he puts in
I've
his office.
seen those cutouts in lots of people's offices. But I'm on a coaching call. I'm like, you got Barbara standing there. Okay. Yeah.
Without saying the specific numbers, what he said to me is first year, he went from 240 million up to 260 million. But he said, what I'm really happy about is my C word, because I went from 2.6 to 3.5. I said, what was the difference? He said, our team were showing people on the appointments how our marketing justifies this percentage.
Sure.
And you know what? It's not just if people call you because of it. When your marketing can justify what you're worth, that makes it even more valuable.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's missed a lot from people.
Dude, that's
So
such
anyway,
a
that's
way
the
you got
story.
there. Yes.
Hundreds of agents later, it's still going strong. We love it. It's a great, unique tool, and it's definitely something on a tool chest that's been a very effective medium. Could only happen because of the network that we have.
Last Wednesday morning at 5:45, I'm standing in the airport arrest room in friggin' Sacramento Airport, and I see Andrew Lamb walk in. and I know that he just did his ad too. So yeah, good stuff. It was weird. I was all, he was traveling to an event just like me. So that was cool. So
Nice.
to wrap this up, I'm an agent out there right now. Maybe I don't have the resources to hire rate, but I want to sell more houses. What should I do?
Well, selfishly, I'll say call you, but because
They don't have the resources yet.
well, I would say this. I think interviewing they would find in interviewing a good coach like you guys, the right foundation that they need and where they should be at. So definitely interview, and even with coaching, and I'll be fair, I'm friends with Tom Ferry, I'm friends with
Me
Mike
too.
Ferry,
Yeah.
I'm friends with Greg Brocker. There's a lot of great coaches that are there. I encourage people to interview multiple coaches, because now you're going to get a chance to really see which one matches what's right for you. Because just like you don't want someone that's not coachable. You don't want someone that's
No.
not going to listen or respect you, right? There should
Right.
be a two-way street, but you should know what's important to you and where you want to be, right? That's number one. And number two, find out what you want to be. Get a clear picture. What type of life do you want? Find the agents that match what you want. Ask them how they did it. I know one
Yes.
thing that's number two. Number three, just get serious about this industry and align yourself. If you can align with a team, even that can be a good start. Get
Hell
on a good
yeah.
team, get a good
Go find
mentor.
the top team in your market and on Zillow and give them a call.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. This is a true story. One of our agents now was when I signed her up with Rate, we got a private little mastermind group, inside of our Facebook page. And I said, hey, I was explaining this to her. She goes, oh no, I've already been in the page. I go, that's impossible. I said, it's only for rate owners. She goes, well, you forget, I was Hal Swayze's marketing director. Oh, that was you? She left the team, developed her own team, and now she's Lindsay Harn, number one agent in San Luis Obispo.
Oh, that's not a bad market to be a number one agent in, right?
Oh yeah. She has like 6 people on her team and did 180 million.
Damn. Yes.
She's a
And
beast.
San Luis is one of my favorite places to go to too. So
Yeah. So anyway, the point of all that is that by joining a good team, you can see maybe it's not your model yet, but you have a structure. You're going to get opportunities presented to you wouldn't get. Getting a good coach, interviewing a good coach, but like what you guys offer with Reside, which I love, by the way. Love what you guys are doing. And and then just figure out, and then start getting reviews, building reviews, and taking care of people.
love it. Matt, if anyone wants to get more information on Rate and talk to you, where should they go? Who should they call?
Go to real simple, 4 words spelled out, radio and television experts.com.
Right on.
And I'm on
Radio.
Facebook too.
Yes, Matt's on Facebook and active, so shout out.
And we're friends. I just look at Suneet's friends, find me there. That's cool. Reach out Facebook. That's cool.
Exactly. Well, dude, I learned a lot, and I love talking about marketing. I think we could probably talk for hours about marketing and geek out. So we have to get you back on here on a upcoming episode. And guys, I just want to let you know, right? There's so many different ways to do this, and what Matt brings to the table is unique, Matt. So thanks, man, for coming on.
Hey, it's a real honor, Suneet. You've had some great people on this. I'm honored to be talking with you. We're honored to be working with you. You've got such a tremendous respect in the industry, and I love it. And thank you. And happy to help whenever I can.
Yes. All right. It's Halloween. I gotta go make sure my kids are getting dressed. Everybody listening, I hope you got something out of this great episode with Matt. As he said, if you want more information, go to radioandtelevisionexperts.com. If you did get something out of this, share it with a friend. Give a like and a subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Reside Platform Podcast.